Hello everyone and welcome to my second video. I wanted to introduce myself again. My name is Brian Sokolowski and my credentials are I attended Rutgers University School of Environmental Biological Sciences, and I also have 22 years of environmental health and safety experience. In addition to that, my credentials are I had a major in environmental policy, institutions, and behaviors. You can read a little bit more about that on the screen. Minor in environmental business economics. Certificate in Environmental Management and Education. I'm also a CHMM, an ASP, a Certified Environmental Trainer, and I'm also a Certified Recycling Professional. So, without further ado, let's get to the presentation. So, the EH&S CFR Guide presents to you today your circle of breathing safety. So what is your circle of breathing safety? With the coronavirus going on and a lot of other things going on in the world today, there's a big focus on social distancing, and really what that involves is the circle around you in which you breathe out and you breathe into. I'm going to go over that today in a little bit more detail so you understand how your circle of breathing safety is affected by things around you and by the individuals that come into and out of your breathing zone. The goals for today's training are to understand the circle of breathing safety, to test out the circle so you understand it, to show how different materials may impact it, how to learn how to not waste valuable resources. So if you don't need to use a specific style of respirator and you can maintain a safe circle of breathing safety, then we kind of want you not to utilize that respirator, and how to keep you safe at the end of the day. Where did this come from? So basically the circle of breathing safety was discovered in the early 1900s during the 1918 H1N1 flu pandemic as an effective way to combat the spread of a virus of unknown impacts with an unknown way to boost immune defense, develop vaccines, or treat patients quickly. Research at nearly every institution since then has discovered a correlation between viral spreading and the distance we keep from one another. So a good example of this is during flu season, where they always say, make sure you wash your hands, make sure you try and stay away from other individuals, because you could easily contract the flu from somebody who is close by to you on a regular basis. In addition to that, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology has done research to suggest that 6 feet is a minimum distance of respiratory safety. So basically, in a nutshell, what they've discovered is that that 6 foot social distance that you're being asked to maintain on a regular basis, that's minimum. For the most part, most of your breathing in comes within about 0 to 3 feet away from you, and then breathing out can be anywhere from 3 to 18 feet, depending on if you're sneezing or the type of speaking that you're doing at that given time. What affects your circle of breathing safety? Well, typical inhaling distances obviously will affect it, because if you're inhaling something that someone's breathing out, then obviously that has an effect on what's impacting you. Typical exhaling distance also has an effect. So depending on the style of speaking that you're doing, you may be exhaling out or breathing out at different distances any type of water molecules that may be coming out of your mouth. Sneezing and coughing distances, obviously that's a typical thing that a lot of people harbor upon. Make sure you cover your sneezes and your coughs. The more that you sneeze and cough without covering your mouth, the longer the water molecules that are coming out of your mouth go. Masks and respirator effects also have an effect on your circle of breathing safety. I will show you a few of those in a minute. However, I don't really want to harbor on that too much because I'm going to do other presentations on them as well. And then shielding effects. A lot of what you're seeing out at Costco and Home Depot and at other places, they're actually putting a plexiglass shield in front of you to shield you from the cashier or somebody else that you must come within 6 feet away from. You and that person to increase the distance that you have from one another. So, circle of breathing demonstration. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of a nutshell on how far and how typical it is for you to breathe out of your mouth depending on what style of speaking you're doing. Currently, right now, the camera is actually at 6 feet away. A piece of paper here on a hanger that's hanging up so I could show you typically how easy it is for you to breathe out and hit something at a distance that's 6 feet or less. Something like this is really meant to be worn even at a 6 foot distance. So that currently is at 3 feet away. Let's just blow a little bit. And you can easily see that I moved the paper. That wasn't even very tough. If I'm speaking loudly or using a lot of W's, the paper moves even at 3 feet. Now, if you can imagine, I am currently 3 feet away from that paper. I'm currently breathing in about 2 feet, which is to about right here. So I'm currently breathing on a lot of what I would be projecting out right now. We'll put that at about 5.5 feet. So basically you could see it's still relatively easy for me to, I'm probably actually about 6 feet away from that piece of paper right now. Now if I'm breathing in 2 feet and I'm easily projecting out to 6 feet, then obviously when they're breathing in whatever I am projecting out of my own mouth. Now the one advantage is if you are wearing something like this and you are wearing a face covering or something else, it becomes a little bit more difficult to now hit that 6 foot barrier with whatever I'm wearing. So it does become a lot more difficult, and really the point of wearing a face covering is not necessarily for you to guard against what you're breathing in. You're still going to breathe in probably in that 1 to 2 foot range, even with type of face covering on like that. What it's really there to do is to stop those larger water molecules that typically would come out of your mouth from impacting someone long range. However, the problem is it doesn't stop the smaller ones from coming out. So it is still important to maintain your 6 foot social distance from one another in a public setting. Let's go over the basic concept of your circle of breathing safety. So basically what you can see here is we have 2 individuals, one here, one there, and then 2 other individuals on the side. These 2 individuals are talking to one another, and these are their circles. That is a 6 foot circle. That's about a 2.5 foot circle. So let's go over what actually affects these circles. So basically, if you have 2 individuals here speaking to one another, they're about 6 feet away from each other. So the things that would typically affect them is how they're projecting their voice. Another big thing that will affect it is wind. This is why you see a lot on news sources that if you're jogging in a park or something like that and you're jogging, the wind that may be coming into your face may be pushing the water molecules coming out of your mouth directly into their face, even though they're still 6 feet away. And if you're jogging or there's wind or there's other situations like that, try and maintain as far away as you can on a regular basis, provided that it's something that you could do. If there's a situation where you have to get closer to that person, then try and take the necessary precautions. Maybe stand on a side wind. So if these 2 individuals were talking and the wind is coming this way, then obviously the wind is going to impact that, this side over here. So they could stand as far away from one another as they want to, and the wind's really not going to affect them. In addition, you also have to watch your actual distance. So you could see these individuals off to the side are really only 5.5 feet away from the 2 individuals that are 6 feet away. So sometimes it becomes an optical illusion if you're not a perfect square of 4 people talking to one another, and you could be easily impacting one another even though you're still standing by one another. Another thing is time. So the amount of time that you spend around one another also impacts your circle of breathing. The less time you could spend talking to someone, the less likelihood there is that you're going to get impacted by what they're breathing out, and vice versa. And the final thing is anything between you. So a piece of plexiglass, though, is something that's solid. So that's something that you really want between you and other individuals. That's why you see a lot of individuals now that are at hospitals or in other medical areas that are handling these SARS-CoV-2 patients, that they're now wearing face shields, and they're also wearing a form of respiratory protection that's more high level. The reason why they're doing that is because they want to limit the amount of potential saliva, water molecules that are hitting them. And they also know that they need to get very close to that individual to do the work that they otherwise would do. So basically, those are the three things that would really affect your circle of breathing safety. So on a regular basis, if you're out and about, you're going to Home Depot, you're shopping, you're doing other things, you have to stand around other people. Mainly the thing that you want to be conscientious of is to try and avoid aisles where there's a lot of people, avoid, congregating together, try and stand in a position where other individuals are not impacting you. Just try and overall maintain distance from the people around you. And if you are going to walk around, or you're trying to maintain your social distance from someone else, make sure you're not walking directly into their path that they just exited, because they could have breathed out while you're breathing in walking by them. If you want to subscribe to the channel or email me, my email is ehs.cfr.guy@gmail.com. And please subscribe because more videos are on the way.